And we're back with our politics lead now and the ever-changing explanations by Vice President Mike Pence and his aides about why he stayed at President Trump's golf resort in Doonbeg, Ireland, which was more than 180 miles away from Dublin, where the vice president's meetings were taking place. This controversy just the latest example of the Trump administration spending millions of your tax dollars at Trump's properties. Again, that's the president putting your money into his own pocket, as CNN's Pamela Brown reports.
As he leaves Iceland,
thank you for the warm welcome,
and heads for London, Vice President Mike Pence still playing cleanup on Isle Ireland. Today, Pence's office offering a third explanation for booking the VP's entire entourage, including the Secret Service, at President Trump's Irish golf resort in Doonbeg, 180 miles from his official meetings in Dublin. First, the vice president's chief of staff said Trump himself suggested Pence stay there. Mark Short saying, "I don't think it was a request like a command. I think it was a suggestion." Then Pence dodged the question, saying it had to do with his family ties to the area and the resort's ability to accommodate the large group.
They say you're enriching the president. What's your response to that criticism?
It's wonderful to be back in Ireland. For many reasons, Ireland is so important to the United States of America as a trading partner. The opportunity to stay at Trump National in Doonbeg to accommodate the unique footprint that comes with our security detail and other personnel made it logical.
CNN has learned President Trump was irked he was blamed for the controversy. So after the White House denied the president had any involvement, Pence's office released this explanation overnight. At no time did the president direct our office to stay at his Doonbeg resort, and any reporting to the contrary is false. Even though Trump has suggested in the past cabinet officials and advisors stay at his properties while traveling, and he himself has spent 289 days of his presidency at Trump properties.
And here at the White House today, President Trump was emphatic again that he had no involvement with Vice President Pence staying at his property. He said he didn't even suggest it, so directly contradicting what the Vice President's Chief of Staff said. And he also advertised his property, essentially, Jake. He said, "The only involvement I have is that I own it. It's a great place. It's beautiful and wonderful." Jake?
All right, Pamela Brown, thanks so much.
It is significant to Americans all around to hear that there is another step in this direction. CNN's adding new details about this right now, about what this is going to look like next week, what it looks like to formalize an impeachment probe. Because it has seemed up until now the Democrats are investigating, but to what end? It is clear most Democrats want to see this president impeached, but there's this fear about the political ramifications of such a move. Nancy Pelosi just said a couple weeks ago that she does not think there is public support for impeachment. Well, what are Democrats doing to gain public support? Right. What are they doing? Pelosi not necessarily doing a lot. Maybe that's going to start to change now. I think historians will look at the Trump presidency and say every week there are news stories that are about impeachable conduct. But it's all about politics. It's all about the Democrats and what they want to press.
And timing as well, Charlie Dent. What do you make of the timing?
Of the timing? Well, I think the timing probably isn't that bad. I mean, just given what happened this week, given the self-dealing, Nadler's smart, I think, to drop it. Now, that said, if I were Nadler, you know, he probably has those articles of impeachment already written. They're drafted. He's just waiting for the go-ahead from up high, from the speaker, to move forward. And I just don't see that permission slip coming. I don't see it coming anytime soon because the American public just simply isn't there on impeachment.
Historically, of course, the Conservative Party has been the party of Winnie, Winston Churchill, famously Britain's wartime Prime Minister. The party of Margaret Thatcher, Britain's first female Prime Minister, and a good friend of Ronald Reagan. More recently, in the 1990s, the party of a very decent, cricket-loving chap called John Major. But now the Conservatives have Boris Johnson, and one might say a certain ruthlessness of purpose. The question is, as the party continues to eviscerate itself over Brexit, is it still what it was, a broad church of moderate thinkers?
Actually, in British politics, this is a very, very strange thing. It's something Mrs. Thatcher would never have considered doing. No Prime Minister for centuries has said that just because somebody voted in Parliament against the government once, they would be deselected from their seats. This is madness. I mean, these are the people they've just fired are some of the most moderate, long-serving senior cabinet ministers in the government.
Rory Stewart is one of 21 Conservative MPs expelled from the party for daring to vote against Boris Johnson over Brexit. They included Philip Hammond, until recently Chancellor of the Exchequer, one of the most senior cabinet posts, and Winston Churchill's grandson.
I voted for the withdrawal agreement on every occasion that has been presented to the House, which is more than can be said for my right honourable friend, the Prime Minister, the Leader of the House and other members of the Cabinet whose serial disloyalty has been such an inspiration to so many of us.
His fellow rebels hugely enjoyed the ironic joke.
We don't want to defect. We're Conservatives. We want to fight for the soul of our party.
I am going to defend my party against incomers, entryists who are trying to turn it from a broad church into a narrow faction.
Philip Hammond was clearly pointing the finger of blame at Boris Johnson's chief adviser, Dominic Cummings, who isn't, we understand, a paid-up Conservative Party member. It can be safely stated that Cummings is not universally liked, certainly by some of the Tory rebels. Many regard him as sinister and Machiavellian and detect his hand in their sacking. One Times cartoon goes so far as to suggest that Cummings is running things. A traditional Conservative Party ally, the Daily Mail, wants him out, demanding that the Downing Street Rottweiler must now go. As it happens, Boris Johnson has just lost another Conservative MP. His younger brother, Joe Johnson, has resigned as MP and junior minister. He cited an unresolvable tension torn between family loyalty and the national interest. Joe Johnson wouldn't elaborate. One of Boris Johnson's heroes is Winston Churchill. But would Winnie recognise the Conservative Party that the new Prime Minister is now leading? Hardline Brexit, and it would seem intensely nationalist. Nick Glass, CNN at Westminster.